Alright, I'm just going to do a quick video today explaining why I would not buy a Wicked Edge again and why I would buy a TSProf. So this Wicked Edge setup that I have right now, I got on Amazon. They're $500. They call it the Pro Pack 1 with the granite base. And with that kit, you get all of these stones in this exact setup. So I spent $500. I bit the bullet and bought a better sharpener and thought I'd be able to sharpen any of my knives, thinking that there are a lot of people that have Spyderco paramilitary 2s. I know this one's a little bit rare, but a Spyderco Subvert, they still have made thousands of them. My Microtech, but very quickly I found that that's not possible. So I'm just going to show a couple things that I did not like about the system. So first of all, this is a full flat grind knife. So fairly common style of grind, and I'm just going to go ahead and sharpen it. And you put your little lining rod in there. Okay, and so I don't like putting it at that angle, so I'll put it like this. And so I'm going to go ahead and tighten it down. Alright, so that's about as tight as I want to get it. We don't want to strip a screw out or anything. And so normally you would put your stones on here, and then you'd be ready to start sharpening. But you'll very quickly notice that the knife moves. And so I haven't done anything. This is tight, as tight as I can go, and the knife moves. I can actually just wiggle it right out if I want. So any full flat grind on the first gen Wicked Edge jaw does this. So once you figure this out and you're a little bit frustrated, you go online and look it up, and you find that there's some information about this. They say on their website, oh, it's totally possible to sharpen a full flat grind. You just have to use some things like moleskin or double-sided tape. And so I took some boot leather. I got some little leather straps pieces here, and you can shove one in there with you, or shove two in there. It doesn't matter. So this is, once again, right off of their website. After you drop $500, you're supposed to be like double-sided taping your knife. So let me it's hard to get two in there, but I'll just show you with one. So it's a little bit better. So you get it in there, and put my little line thing in there. So get that set up. Alright, go ahead and tighten it down. And that's pretty tight. And, oh, yep, still moves. Oh, look at that. So there are lots of people that have figured out ways to do this. I just don't think you should have to. It's $500 for this. I should be able to put in any knife I want. Now, if I go to my little $70 Kershaw here and throw it in there, it clamps it down a little bit better. And see, this one's flat on the back, so I'm just going to set it right on there. Let's say I set it right there. So tighten it down. And it's a little bit better, but it still moves. And so when you're sharpening and you're putting some force on it, it moves out, or it changes angle, and then you've ruined all the work that you've done. So I contacted Wicked Edge on their Facebook page, and they basically said, no, if you are sharpening a lot of full flat grind knives, then we recommend that you get the 3rd gen jaw. And so I said, okay, is there a program where I can upgrade or something? I just spent, $500. Nope, the upgrade kit's $330. And so I'm like, all right, let's get the $330 setup. So I'm going to pause the video here and show you how the $300 setup works. Alright, so now you've spent $330 and you get the Gen 3, the WE130 jaw. It's the cam lock jaw. And you get the extended rods and then this rod holder. And that's what comes in the kit. So you put it all together, and same knife. This is just a PM2, and I don't really like these alignment rods, but just for sake of showing it here, because I don't like how they put it with these. I prefer to sharpen it a little bit closer. So however you want to do it, it's pretty simple to use, and it is a much better design. You lock it down there. I've already got this tension set with this little dial back here. Alright, and that's much more sturdy now. It still moves if you really force it, but it's much more sturdy, and I can actually turn my tension up just a little bit and probably get rid of any movement. So honestly, this is a great setup, but you've got so much money in this now. So now you have between $800 and $900 in it, and so let's say, alright, I'm going to go ahead and sharpen this. I'm going to reprofile it. So I like the design, I really do, except for a couple things. First of all, you're sharpening. There's no upper stop. There's nothing to stop you from going too high. So you can go too high, and then when you come back down, you can nick the blade or nick the edge of the stone, and then you have to start over or just fix your mistake. The other problem I have with it is you can go down too far. There's no lower stop, and so if this was a nice blade like my St. Nick's PM2 that I didn't want to scratch the DLC coating on, then I would worry about that. I don't want to scratch it. And so if you're coming up the side, you're sharpening and you're going, and then you come back down a little bit too far, and you're running up the side of your knife then. So that's just one thing that bugs me a little bit. Now, I did fix that by getting a couple pieces of 5/16 fuel line, and I just cut them, and I put them on the rods there, and then now when you put your stones on, it bounces on there, and then it's not. It won't go underneath the edge that you're sharpening. So that's great. But once again, I've just gone out and used radiator hose to fix my $800 sharpening system. So I would hope that for $800 they would have already thought of all these problems. So that's probably my biggest issue with this. But, okay, so you spent... Yeah, I need a smaller knife. Go ahead and stop it. Alright, so my only other problem now, other than the thing I had to fix with the radiator hose, fuel hose, is, so let's say that I'm going to sharpen a knife that isn't as tall as a PM2, it isn't as tall as my Subvert, or a PM3, or whatever benchmate you might have. Let's say I'm going to sharpen something much smaller like my Microtech. So I'm going to use this little guide here. Set it down in here. Alright, get it clamped in a way I'm comfortable with. It's a little bit too tight on the tension. Alright. See, there's a little bit of an issue with the jaw there, because it's right where it's clamping. I have to take this out actually. See, this is my main problem. This jaw is much better, but it's still not perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and try and clamp below the center of the blade, and that's a little bit better. It's pretty sturdy. Alright, so then here's my issue with this. Let's say I want to sharpen this. I'm just going to grab a different stone here. Let's say I want to sharpen this. This is my LMAX Microtech, and I want to go at a little bit steeper angle, so I'm probably going to want to be somewhere in the 14 to 15 degree area. So I'm going to get my angle cube out, do all that fancy stuff. Everybody already knows how to do this. So I set my angle up. And the problem I'm having now, to get anywhere near 14 degrees, so the problem I'm having now is to get anywhere near, so I'm at like 15 degrees there or something like that. But if you can see here, I'm not actually touching the blade. I'm touching the jaw. There's a gap in there. You can see that. I'm not touching the blade at all because the blade's so short and because the jaw is so wide.
Bring it back and show it again without flashing.
So, good? Alright. So if I want to touch the blade on this, you kind of just have to eyeball it. Come out right about there. Okay, now I'm not touching the jaw anymore. And I'm touching the blade. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to zero my cube. Put it on there. So 22 degrees is as low of an angle as I can sharpen this Microtech at. Alright. And then let's try it. Let's, just for argument's sake, how many people really have a Microtech? Maybe not that many. I don't know. Maybe they aren't that good. So, let's get rid of the Microtech. Let's go to something simple. They sell these at any sports store. This is actually my wife's. This is a Leatherman Free T4. This blade's even shorter. So I'm just going to go ahead and clamp this sucker in there on the flat spot. Alright, and then let's see how this one works out. Well, we're doing a little bit better on this one. But I'm going to want to go in about 14 degrees. And, oh, we're touching the sharpener again. We're touching the jaw. So then, if you have a different type of knife, like, let's say you have my little Leatherman here, I've had for a long time, and I've sharpened freehand for years. So, yeah, you kind of get the point. That's kind of worthless. It can't even clamp it. The jaw is just too big, and the blade is too short. So if you're only working on knives with a taller blade, where you can clamp down here and have like an inch of metal sticking up, that's great. This is going to be a great system for you. And then to get all the stones you want, with all the stones that I have over here, I've got, let's see, these came with the kit. Each set of stones is $100, so there's 200 extra, and then this set of ceramics was $130. So now I've got, there's 1,000, and then there's 1,030. So make it $1,100 that I've got in this now. And I can't sharpen all my knives. Now, they will sell you a low angle adapter, which actually you just change up this jaw. You just pop these out, change this jaw, and it goes up a little bit. But then you need to get extended rods, and so that's just more money. And then if you want to sharpen any other type of knife, I'm sure they have more attachments where they would be more than willing to take your money so you can sharpen, maybe they have a special Kershaw launch attachment. So that's my problem with the Wicked Edge. You spend $1,000 and then you can't sharpen all your knives. I can sharpen this now, but I can't sharpen my Leatherman. I can't sharpen my Microtech. I can't sharpen, I'm sure I can find other short knives. My kitchen fillet knives, can't sharpen them. So you're very, very, very limited, and you're basically paying for Wicked Edge you're paying for a Wicked Edge because you like saying Wicked Edge on the sharpener. You aren't getting necessarily a superior product. So yeah, that's why I do not like the Wicked Edge sharpening system.
Alright, so this is the TSProf Blitz 360, and I ordered this as a part from Gritomatic as a part of their Black Series kit for this. The Black Series kit for this TSProf Blitz 360 is $350 without any stones. And from Gritomatic, that just means that it has these stops as well as this centerpiece, which allows you to use an angle gauge on it. But for just a little bit more, Gritomatic lets you order a set of stones, your choice of what kind of stones, whether you want diamond or ceramic, what kind of ceramic, effectively giving you the Pro Pack 3, or a Pro Pack series from Wicked Edge. So I decided to go with the silicone carbide set, and it gives you these 5 stones to work through. All the stones you need to get a very good and lasting edge on any of your knives. With the stones, with 5 of the stones, the entire kit was $420. significantly cheaper than other options such as the Wicked Edge, with more variety. So we'll start off first with some of the things we saw issues with the $500 Wicked Edge. With our $350 sharpener, we are going to try and clamp a basic paramilitary tube. So just stick it in here, and the Gritomatic Black Edition comes with these spectacular little screwdrivers, hex-bit screwdrivers. So because there are 2 clamps, then you can put one on the full flat portion of the blade. So we're already moving along well there. Just get it in, get it snugged up, and then we are decided about how we like our edge here, and we tighten the other down. And it's snug, and just like that, it won't move. It is gripped in, locked on, and it is ready to take hard pressing down should you need it, although normally you don't, but it is locked in and ready to go. On either side, well locked in, 0 movement. It's not going to give a convex edge at all because the blade will not move. On a full flat ground knife, what the Wicked Edge struggled with, we already have solved the problem for half the cost, almost. But that's a tall knife like we showed before. So let's take a look at one of the more difficult knives, let's say a short knife. So just lift that up. This one as well. Pull down. There you go. And let's try the Microtech. Once again, because we have 2 clamps, we can adjust it so we've got one on the full flat portion. And we'll get that lined up here. And then this one, we're able to have further apart so there's less room for blade flex at all. And we've got that right over the crown, the center of the blade. And there we are. So, first off, very snug, not coming out. So, already problem 1 is solved. Now, let's say we want to put an edge on this and see how shallow we can make our edge, how steep. So, first we get out our angle cube, get it centered up here, 0 it out, like everyone's seen. And we put it on here, and we'll make some adjustments. Going back here, and let's just take it all the way out and see how far we can go before we hit that. So right there, we're in a little bit, but we're not actually hitting our sharpener. So we're good to make good contact with it. And we can see we're at 20 degrees, but we want to go even shallower than that. So, because we have the dual clamping system, what we're going to do, we'll just loosen this up a little bit. Alright, so we can only get to 20 degrees with a setup like this. This is the setup I had for my paramilitary, or it would have worked perfect for the subvert to get the edge we needed. But for this shorter knife, we just need to make a small adjustment. So, I'll pull this out. Over here also. And then I just tilt this up, put the clamp over, use my nice screwdriver. The clamp comes off nicely. I pull the screw out, move it up one. It's a bit closer together there. That's all tightened down. And now we're in business. So now we'll try this out again with the Microtech. So we'll lock in this side. And for this one we needed the crown we found, so this side's locked in. This side is just barely over. Go. And we're locked in. No movement, even though they're close together. No movement whatsoever. And we'll get our cube and make sure. Screw that out. I'll put it back on here. And let's move up until we're making contact. Still not making contact. There we go, right about there. So there we're about making contact. And now we are at 18 degrees. So there's room even to play if you wanted. Another potential setup is where I would put 2 clamps on one side and then put them both on the flat grind. This knife is kind of a bit more rare because it has the dual blades on both sides, and so I could easily just as well clamp on just this flat portion if I wanted, because the clamps are so skinny. But 18 degrees probably is enough to get us where we need to go for the moment. But let's go to the real extreme. The extreme that the Wicked Edge couldn't even think about clamping. The dinky little Leatherman. So for this one, it's not even long enough to fit in here, but we don't need that. We've got clamps that are very well done. So we will just remove one of these clamps. Get this in there. Remove our right clamp here. There's our right clamp removed. Back here, ready to go. And we can set this in here. We can put it wherever we want. Middle of the blade, back a little bit. I'll probably go about here. Get it nice and locked in. And you think, one clamp, that still isn't that sturdy, right? It'll move if you force it, but realistically, the amount of force you're going to be putting on a blade this small, it's not going to happen. So, with that, loosen up here, because I did move it a bit. Most of the time you aren't pressing on your knives that hard, so that's a non-issue. But when you look at it here, we're not making contact at all there. So let's re-zero this out, because now our blade is even closer. 0 degrees, 0.5, that's fine. And let's take this all the way to where we can. Whoops. So right, there's contact. So let's see where we're at. Alright, so we can take this small of a knife down to 13.5 degrees if we want. That's way shallower than this this steel needs to have its best edge, its longest lasting edge. But that means that I can do anything this big, and because of the clamps, I can do anything up to a subvert or bigger, a large kitchen knife, a fillet knife. But I've actually already done the edge on this because the Wicked Edge could not. So right there, you already have the variety that the Wicked Edge was unable to do taken care of for $350. For $420 with the stones, I got all ceramics, and you can get a mirror edge on all of your knives for half the cost, for less than half the cost that it takes to get not a mirror edge out of your Wicked Edge. There's just so much more variety. The fact that you can fit much bigger stones on here, the fact that you don't have any stones that the stone goes all the way to the edge, so I don't need a sharpening choil on any of my knives. The fact that I can choose ceramics for any of the grits. I don't need lapping films because I can get finishing stones, which is what I've got here. I've got a 12,000 grit TSProf stone, and I'm able to put perfect mirror edges without strops, without stropping compounds, without lapping films. And all told, with my finishing stones and everything I've got in here, I have $600 to do something that a $1,100 sharpener was unable to do. And that just goes to show that this is a better value for just its capabilities than the Wicked Edge is. These are the main reasons that we chose the TSProf over the Wicked Edge, and I have now sharpened 25, 30 knives, different knives of all different types, different cheapnesses of steel versus very expensive Maximets and such that Spyderco has, and this does it all without issue and makes them excellent and very consistent. So props to TSProf for making an excellent sharpener and for making it actually affordable and for not making everything proprietary so that you can actually use other brands' good stones and designs. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.